Welcome back to Milan Recording Studios. My name is James Pavel Shawcross. The little piece that I just played there was an excerpt of a song that somebody wanted me to do. Basically, they asked me on my YouTube channel if I could do some music from a very popular movie. So I took a look at the soundtrack and I really enjoyed that particular song, so I decided to do a cover of that, and it will be hopefully coming out within the next few days. It's coming along absolutely fantastically, but that was just the ending to it. Really beautiful. Hope you guys liked that. But what I really wanted to talk about today was an interesting phenomenon that I believe will be occurring within the next few years. I'm trying to be a bit of a fortune teller here, but basically what I think is going to be happening in the future is we will start seeing the rise of what I like to call pianos formerly known as Steinways. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, let me explain. Steinway has been around for almost 170 years, which is really, really unbelievable to me that the company is that old and this well known. But what is really interesting is that rebuilders and repair people have been working on Steinway pianos from probably nearly the very beginning, maybe the first 20 or 10 years of the Steinway life. Their pianos really didn't need that much work, but as the company aged and as their pianos and their products began to age and need repairs, many people would have stepped up to do these repairs. So over the years, families of rebuilders passed on their secrets to generation of how to repair and make the best Steinway possible out of something that had fallen into disrepair. So over the years, they perfected the way to really improve upon what Steinway had created. And what this results in is that there are a lot of times rebuilt Steinways that can be as good or even better than the Steinways being produced by Steinway themselves, which is a really interesting phenomenon, and it really depends on both the quality of the original piano as well as the quality of the rebuilder, and also just how well the project went together, because all rebuilders do have some fluctuations in the quality of their rebuilds, some more so than others. So some rebuilt Steinways will be just pretty average and others of them will be phenomenal. But that is what I really wanted to talk about today, is that rebuilt pianos are generally, especially with this new phenomenon that I'm going to be mentioning in a little bit here, these rebuilt Steinways, probably as of now into the future, are probably going to be at a much discounted price than a new Steinway or even a rebuilt piano before now. Because what has happened as of recently, within the last few months, is that Steinway has come up with a few new fun rules and regulations. Isn't that wonderful? Don't we all love new rules? Basically, they've come out and said that if you're rebuilding a Steinway, you have to put all Steinway components back into the piano, or it can no longer be considered a Steinway. And on top of that, they've made another rule that says if you are rebuilding a piano and you want that original Steinway logo to be put back on the piano, the only people who can legally do that, according to Steinway's rules, is Steinway themselves, so they're no longer selling the original decals. So basically what this means now is if a private rebuilder wants to follow all the rules and rebuild a Steinway, they have to either buy all Steinway components and put them back into the piano, or ship the piano off to New York to have the instrument rebuilt, which of course a private rebuilder isn't going to do. Their third option would be to rebuild the piano with whatever components they want to and just have fun doing it, and then not put the Steinway logo back on the piano. So my prediction is that within the next few years, probably into the foreseeable future, we will start seeing pianos, probably not all of them, probably just a few, but there will be a few Steinway pianos that will say Steinway on the harp, on the inside of the piano, but on the fallboard and on the side of the piano, they may say something different. They may be blank, they might have a different style of Steinway logo, or they might have, say, the name of the rebuilder on the piano. So what this is going to mean is that most likely, again, I'm trying to be a fortune teller here, and I don't know if this is going to pan out, but more than likely what this means is that these Steinways, these pianos who formerly were Steinways, these pianos will probably come at a discounted price to a piano that still has the logo on it, because that probably will weird a few people out when they look at a piano and go, there's no logo on the fallboard, it must be a fake piano or something. I don't know exactly what goes through everyone's heads, but that probably is going to bring down the price of these pianos. not having the Steinway logo or having someone else's name on the fallboard. But when you're looking to buy a piano, and this is something that I've actually not really talked about too much in my videos, but when you're looking to purchase a piano, everyone uses the term looking when they're going to buy something. I'm going to go look at buying a new TV. I'm going to go look at buying a new car. I'm going to go look at buying a new piano. But when it comes to buying pianos, you really shouldn't be looking at the piano, aside from a couple of crucial points like cracks in the soundboard and also if it fits the aesthetic of your home. You should really be listening to the piano. You should sit down, not look at the piano and go, oh, it looks like this. You should sit down and listen to it and go, oh, it sounds like this. I like this piano, even though there's no Steinway logo there. Because many times these rebuilt Steinways can be better than the Steinways that are coming out of the factory brand new, as well as the Steinways that Steinway rebuilds themselves. I don't know how many times I've said Steinway in this video, but it's been a lot. But anyway, some of these rebuilt Steinways can be absolutely incredible. Some of the best Steinways I've ever played have been rebuilt pianos. Now, not all rebuilt pianos are phenomenal, and this goes for every brand, because not every rebuilder has an excellent day, and not every piano comes out good, but those that can come out good often will come out excellent. So that is something that I just wanted to mention, that rebuilt Steinways do have the potential of coming out absolutely amazing, and if they don't have the logo on the fallboard and the side of the piano, this might lead to some discounted prices, which might lead to people getting some awesome deals on some awesome musical instruments. So it's going to be a really cool buying opportunity for all of us if this does happen and if this does turn out to be true. So that's just something that I wanted to talk about. Another thing I wanted to mention is that it doesn't even have to apply to a rebuilt piano. For example, the piano that I'm sitting at right here is a Steinway. It is all original, but it is from, I think, 1995, and as you might expect, the finish on it isn't exactly perfect. So someday in the future, not now, but someday in the future, I might decide to get it refinished, maybe at least the fallboard, because as it tends to happen, there are a few scratches on the fallboard. So if someday in the future I wanted to get the fallboard or the entire piano resprayed, I would have two options. One of those would be to have a local guy do it, but not be able to put the logo back on. The second option would be to ship the entire piano off to New York, which doesn't sound fun, because I have moved 3 pianos through national shipping companies, and every single time the pianos have gotten damaged. So what would happen if I shipped my 950-pound concert grand off to New York, paid whatever price they wanted to have it resprayed with the nice Steinway logo back on, and then when they ship it back to me, it is messed up and there's scratches and marks all over the finish? I have to send it back again and just have the cycle repeat infinitely and just keep shoveling money at Steinway to have them rebuild the piano and ship it to me over and over again? I don't think that would happen. So, of course, my main solution would be to have someone local respray it, and then simply not put the logo back on, or maybe get real fancy and put Milan Recording Studios on the fallboard of the piano. But if you haven't noticed, in my last few videos, I've been lighting the piano so that the Steinway logo doesn't show up. If you look real hard, you can still see it, but if you don't pay much attention, you probably won't see it all that well. If I light it a certain way, it glows and stands out of the fallboard and honestly looks really beautiful. But lately, I've been lighting it the other way so that it doesn't show up, and let me know if you guys either noticed that and also what you even think. Does it look okay without any lettering on the fallboard and the side of the piano? Just imagine it's not there. What does it look like? Could you imagine having a piano like that in your home? Would you be okay with that? What if it was one of the best pianos you had ever played, but it didn't have the Steinway badge on it? Would you still purchase it, especially if it was at a much discounted price than a new Steinway would be? That's just an interesting thing that I wanted to talk about, that these interesting rules that Steinway is coming out with now, in an attempt to, I personally believe, in an attempt to boost their short-term sales in an effort to sell the company, I think this is actually going to come back and bite them in the butt. Because, as I said, these pianos formerly known as Steinways with no badges or with different badges, I believe, will come at a discounted price. And the reason Steinway is trying to hurt the industry of rebuilt Steinways is because one of Steinway's biggest competitors, besides all of the other wonderful piano companies that exist in the world, one of Steinway's biggest competitors to a new Steinway is a used Steinway. So Steinway is trying to hurt the value of used pianos, of used Steinways, and to try to stop people from rebuilding more Steinways and making them great again. But what this is actually going to happen, I think, is there's still going to be rebuilt Steinways. This isn't going to stop people from rebuilding pianos. So what this is instead going to result in is cheaper rebuilt Steinways. I think. I'm just I'm just theorizing here. But what I think is going to happen is this is going to result in cheaper rebuilt Steinways on the market that more people might actually want. And it's not going to, if it pans out that way, it's not actually going to help Steinway all that much at all in the long run. Now, I'm not the only one who feels this way, and I actually stumbled across an interesting post on the piano subreddit, and I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the comments that I found really, really interesting here. Someone commented on the post, which was about a rebuilder who was putting a carbon fiber action into his antique Steinway, and he was rebuilding it. So someone commented on the post that they said, "It's too bad Steinway considers any piano with any part that's been replaced with non-Steinway parts invalid." And the rebuilder came back with, "It's too bad nobody cares what Steinway thinks. The piano has a new soundboard from Bolduc that is superior to the board that was originally in the piano, and most likely than what Steinway's New York's in-house rebuilding department could ever hope to produce. The pin block is delignate, far superior to whatever New York is using now." And the comments went on a little bit, and there was some more interesting stuff there. You can see it on screen if you want. You can pause the video and read on. But this rebuilder did mention a few interesting things there in that comment. If my screen will rotate, thank you. He said, first of all, that the piano has a new soundboard that is superior to the board that was originally in the piano, and most likely superior to whatever New York Steinway puts in when they rebuild a piano. And that is something interesting that I did want to touch on, because as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, Steinway does offer a rebuilding service, which at first instance might actually sound absolutely amazing. If you have a piano from 1912 and it's in terrible condition and you want it to be restored, you'd think that there'd be no other better rebuilder to repair it than the one who originally built it, right? That's logical, right? It does make sense, but unfortunately, that's not how things go. I wanted to talk a little bit about something I've never talked before about on the channel, and that would be a piano that I ran across some time ago that was rebuilt by Steinway. On the underside of the soundboard, you can see this logo. I'll put some pictures up on screen of it. You can see this logo that was burned into the underside of the soundboard that says Steinway. So this instrument was rebuilt by Steinway at some point during its life. But the interesting thing about it is that this piano that I found was not from 1912 or 1920 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 or 80. I believe the piano was manufactured in the 1990s. Which isn't all that old for piano. And sometime during its life, it was rebuilt by Steinway? What happened? What happened to this piano that made it have to be rebuilt by Steinway at such a young age? And that is a very interesting thing. And while I don't know exactly what the story was behind this piano, I do believe that I know exactly what happened. I was taking a look under the piano a little bit more, and I noticed that along the back end of the piano, where the rim of the piano curves around at the very back of the piano, I noticed an excess amount of dried glue that had just been oozing out of where the soundboard attached to the side of the piano. And also something else that I noticed about that piano was that it had a really nasty buzz, and so I didn't do a video on the piano that day. It had an absolutely nasty, horrible buzz that it wasn't just like a little hinge buzzing that you just touch and it goes away and wouldn't even show up in the recordings. This was horrible. This was as loud as the piano itself was. It was awful. So after exploring the piano a little bit and checking out the underside of the instrument, I did realize that the buzzing was coming from the soundboard, so Steinway was close on that, but it wasn't coming from the area where the soundboard met the side of the piano. It was actually from a loose rib underneath of the piano. So my theory on what happened to this piano from the 90s that already had been rebuilt by Steinway was that somebody purchased this piano brand new, they take it home and they go, wait a minute, it's buzzing and sounds like garbage. So they contacted Steinway, and because the piano probably was brand new, they said, okay, ship it back to us and we will rebuild it for you. Don't know if the original owner paid money for it, or probably they did, but basically this piano had been rebuilt. I don't know if it had a new soundboard get put in it or anything like that. It probably didn't. Steinway probably just took the old soundboard out, lathered it up with glue, and slapped it back in there, hoping that that would fix the issue. But it didn't fix the issue, and in fact, the piano still buzzes to this day, the owner tells me. So that is something really interesting, that Steinway had a piano that apparently had some problems, did some really strange method of fixing that problem, which didn't fix the problem. It wasn't even the problem at all, the area they were trying to fix. So that, to me, is some evidence that Steinway isn't the best piano rebuilder around. Now, I was really curious as to whether that was a traditional procedure in Steinways, whether or not that excess amount of glue on the back rim was a standard thing. So when I had a chance to look at a brand new Steinway D, I crawled underneath of it, and there was no excess glue. There was one small glob, which is totally acceptable. There wasn't a cascade of dried glue on the back of the piano. So something very strange happened there. I don't have any reason to believe that that piano had been messed with by anyone else other than Steinway. I believe the piano was all original. So that is something really interesting, and that's another thing I wanted to mention, that Steinway, believe it or not, isn't the best person to have rebuild the piano. The best person to have rebuild the piano is a homegrown rebuilder who's dedicated to the art of rebuilding a pianos and actually knows what they're doing. So yeah, that's about what I had to say in this video. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. Again, as a bit of a recap, these rebuilders who are rebuilding Steinways are no longer going to be allowed to put the decal on the piano. Some of them, I believe, will still just put some other design of Steinway decal on it, but that could possibly lead to some legal implications. But what's probably going to happen is there's going to be a rise of Steinway pianos that have been rebuilt with no logos on the front or with different logos, like the rebuilder's name. These pianos are probably going to be coming at a discounted price and therefore be an awesome buying opportunity, which is only going to end up hurting Steinway in the long run, and it's really not a wise decision for them to be doing any of what they're doing. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that you found it interesting. It's a little bit different from what I usually do, but I really hope that you guys found it interesting. If you know what that song was that I played at the beginning, let me know, and if you're interested in hearing me play the whole thing, also let me know. I think it's coming along really great, and it's going to be one of my favorite covers that I have done so far on this channel. So let me know what you thought of all of this that I've mentioned in the video. Make sure to go ahead and leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it. If you did, you might want to think about subscribing, because if you do that, I've got lots of cool covers, lots of cool reviews, and lots of neat things coming up in the future. So if you do all of that, thank you very much. I will see you in the next video. Make sure to hit the notification bell to be informed of all of my future uploads, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.